this is the best version of Shedeur Sanders because for the first time in his entire football career, he's felt like he has to prove himself.
You owe it to yourself to find out what Shedeur Sanders can and cannot do. You absolutely do. And so to me, it is a missed opportunity.
And if you don't think this is how his teammates feel about him, they're carrying him on the sideline.
He slides up to top 8 in rookie passing yards. Again, history for the Browns.
I was just excited to be put in that situation again. I kind of put myself in that situation again.
The Cleveland Browns are staring down the barrel of the most important decision they've made in decades. And no, we're not being dramatic. This is legitimacy versus mediocrity. This is hope versus the same old story. This is Shedeur Sanders versus whatever the hell is happening in that quarterback room right now. Here's the reality check nobody in Cleveland wants to hear. The Browns just finished 4-12. 4 wins, 12 loses. That's not just bad. That's historically catastrophic for a team that spent $230 million guaranteed on a quarterback.
Weaving around the problem, this all started when the Cleveland Browns acquired Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
If Deshaun Watson is the player that he was in 2019 in Houston, we're not having this conversation.
Deshaun Watson played 6 games this season before tearing his Achilles. 6 games! And in those 6 games, he looked like a shell of the player who once terrorized defenses in Houston. The numbers don't lie, folks. Watson threw for just 1,148 yards with 5 touchdowns and 3 interceptions before the injury ended his season. His QBR was sitting at a pathetic 37.0. For context, that ranks him below backups who barely see the field. This is a guy who was supposed to be the savior, the chosen one, the quarterback who would finally end Cleveland's decades-long curse at the position.
You take Deshaun Watson. He was that good. The last time we'd seen him, it was one quarterback in the world better than him, and that was Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. That's the decision you make that you think changes your organization. When that doesn't work, it sets you back.
Instead, he's owed $92 million over the next 2 years with a fully guaranteed contract that makes him virtually untradeable. Kevin Stefanski can talk all he wants about Watson being our guy for 2025, but actions speak louder than words, and the Browns holding the number 2 overall pick speaks volumes. Enter Shedeur Sanders, the most polarizing prospect in this year's draft class, the son of Coach Prime, the quarterback who just led Colorado to a 9-4 season and their first bowl win since 2004. The guy who threw for 4,134 yards, 37 touchdowns, and just 10 interceptions while completing 74.2% of his passes.
He treated Shedeur Sanders versus Dillon Gabriel, and the data proves it. Let's start with opportunity, because opportunity isn't just pass attempts, but it's when you're allowed to throw. These bars shows who the Browns trusted to throw early while the game was still in neutral and after successful plays. Dillon Gabriel was consistently allowed to throw early and in rhythm. Shedeur Sanders, on the other hand, was asked to throw after things broke down. And that difference shapes everything: play calling, confidence, and who stays on the field in defining moments. Now look at down and distance. Gabriel throws far more often on first down when defenses still have to respect the run and the entire playbook. Yet Sanders throws far more often on 3rd and long when defenses already know what's coming. So that's not the same job. This uneven context is further compounded by Sanders being benched in a 1-score high-leverage situation. That tells you how short the leash really was for him.
Let those stats marinate for a second. 74.2% completion rate. In college football, where windows are tighter and defenses are designed to confuse young quarterbacks, Shedeur Sanders was surgical, absolutely surgical. But here's where it gets spicy. The debate isn't just about talent, it's about baggage. It's about whether Cleveland wants to deal with Deion Sanders hovering over every decision. It's about whether Shedeur can handle the pressure of replacing a guy the franchise just gave $250 million to. It's about whether this kid from Colorado can survive the brutal AFC North where defenses eat quarterbacks for breakfast. Let's talk about what Shedeur brings to the table that nobody in Cleveland's current quarterback room can match. First, accuracy. Watson used to be accurate. Used to be. His completion percentage dropped to 58.2% this season. Jameis Winston, for all his gunslinger mentality, completed just 63.6% of his passes in relief duty. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, don't even get us started. The kid completed 54.8% of his throws and looked completely overmatched. Shedeur Sanders, meanwhile, has completed over 72% of his passes in back-to-back seasons at Colorado. He processes information quickly, gets the ball out fast, and doesn't hold on to it waiting for something to develop. In today's NFL, where pass rush gets home in 2.5 seconds, that matters.
Now let's talk about protection. Sanders was playing behind one of the worst protection environments in football, and instead of adjusting, the coaching staff didn't meaningfully increase help. No consistent extra protectors, no expanded chip blocks, but Gabriel received significantly more built-in protection, even with the same line. And protection is a coaching choice.
Say what you want about Deion and the circus that follows him everywhere, but Shedeur led Colorado from 4-8 to 9-4 in 2 seasons. He took over a program that was the laughingstock of college football and turned them into bowl winners. He did it while the entire country was questioning whether he was just a product of his father's hype machine. Here's what Deion said about his son after the Alamo Bowl victory. He's built for this moment. The criticism, the pressure, the expectations, he thrives in it. And you know what? The tape backs it up. Shedeur threw 4 touchdowns in that bowl game. 4 touchdowns against a BYU defense that had NFL talent all over it. Compare that to what we saw from Cleveland's quarterbacks this year. Watson looked scared in the pocket. Jameis threw interceptions at the worst possible times. DTR looked like he needed another year in college, not playing time in the NFL. But let's play devil's advocate for a second. Let's steelman the argument for sticking with what Cleveland has. Deshaun Watson, when healthy and confident, is a 3-time Pro Bowler. He led the league in passing yards in 2020. He has elite arm talent, mobility, and the ability to create something out of nothing. The question isn't whether the talent exists. The question is whether it's still accessible.
Yeah, I think Deshaun certainly is getting more and more comfortable, Mary Kay, and what we're doing. We did do some no-huddle in this last game. We did some no-huddle down at Cincinnati. It's been part of who we've been this season. Back when we played Baltimore in the first game, we did some no-huddle with Jacoby. So
Kevin Stefanski went on record saying Deshaun is our starting quarterback. We believe in him. Okay, coach, we hear you. But believing in someone and that belief being justified are 2 completely different things. The Browns believed in Baker Mayfield too, until they didn't. They believed in Brock Osweiler for about 5 minutes. They believed in Josh McCown and Brian Hoyer and Johnny Manziel and Brandon Weeden, and you get the point. Jameis Winston actually showed flashes this season. He threw 13 touchdowns in limited action. He brought energy to a dead locker room. He gave Browns fans something to smile about for approximately 3 weeks before reality set in. Winston is 30 years old. He's a known commodity. He can win you games and lose you games, sometimes in the same quarter. He's not the long-term answer, and everyone knows it. DTR is 25, has a strong arm, and knows the offense. He's also shown absolutely nothing that suggests he's a starting caliber NFL quarterback. The Browns drafted him in the 5th round in 2023, hoping he'd develop into something. So far, he's developed into a guy who shouldn't see the field unless there's an emergency. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with a franchise at a crossroads. The Browns can either run it back with Watson, cross their fingers and hope that somehow, magically, he rediscovers the form that made him special 6 years ago, or they could admit the obvious. That contract was a mistake, that injury has robbed him of whatever edge he had left, and that it's time to move on. Here's the thing about Shedeur Sanders that should terrify every other team in the AFC North. He's not afraid of the moment. He played in the biggest games college football had to offer this year. He faced top 10 defenses and picked them apart. He stood in the pocket and delivered strikes while defenders were in his face. He didn't panic, he didn't fold, he executed. And let's address the elephant in the room, Deion Sanders. Yes, having Coach Prime as your dad comes with complications. Yes, Deion has made it clear he'll be involved in where his son lands. Yes, that could create friction with a coaching staff and front office. But you know what else it creates? A built-in support system, a mentor who has been under the brightest lights sports has to offer, a father who will push his son to be great and won't let him settle for mediocrity. The Browns have been mediocre for 3 decades.
Maybe a little Deion Sanders energy is exactly what this franchise needs. NFL draft analyst Mel Kiper Jr. said this about Shedeur: "He's the most pro-ready quarterback in this class. His ability to read defenses pre-snap is elite. He makes quick decisions and delivers the ball with anticipation. If a team needs a quarterback who can start day one, Shedeur Sanders is that guy." Day one. Not in 2 years, not after a redshirt season. Day one. Cleveland's offensive line is a mess. Their running game is inconsistent. Their defense, while talented, is aging. They don't have time to wait for a project. They don't have the luxury of developing a raw talent over 3 seasons. They need someone who can walk in, command the huddle, and give them a legitimate chance to compete in 2025. Can Watson do that? Based on what we've seen the last 2 years, absolutely not. Can Winston? Maybe, if you enjoy living on the edge of chaos every Sunday. Can DTR? Come on, we're not even entertaining that. Shedeur Sanders represents a clean slate, a chance to start over without admitting total defeat, a way to inject youth, energy, and competence into the most important position in sports. And yeah, it means eating a massive contract with Watson. It means admitting the trade was a disaster. It means facing uncomfortable questions about organizational decision-making. But you know what's more uncomfortable? Going 4-12 again, wasting Myles Garrett's prime, watching another decade slip away while other franchises figure out the quarterback position and win championships. The Browns are sitting at pick number 2. Shedeur Sanders will be available. The Tennessee Titans, picking first, are almost certainly taking a quarterback or trading the pick. If Cleveland passes on Shedeur, they're saying they believe in what they have. They're saying Deshaun Watson deserves another chance, despite all evidence suggesting otherwise. Here's the bottom line, and we're not sugarcoating this. Cleveland's current quarterback room is a disaster. Watson is broken, physically and mentally. Winston is a band-aid. DTR is a prayer. None of them give this franchise a legitimate shot at competing for a Super Bowl in the next 5 years. Shedeur Sanders might not either. He's not a guarantee, no prospect is, but he's the best option available. And in a league where quarterback play determines everything, you take your shot when it presents itself. The edge? It's not even close. Shedeur Sanders has the edge in every category that matters: accuracy, decision-making, leadership, upside, and most importantly, availability. He'll actually be on the field, which is more than we can say for Deshaun Watson. Cleveland, the choice is yours. Run it back with mediocrity or embrace the future. Choose wisely, because your fans are running out of patience, and this league doesn't wait for anyone.